Mama. The big tits is based upon my own aura, but the diversity of my own aura is the kakaka and agony. So, Mama, in the Dani, the way we actually parsak the Dixie system is, do you know why you know that we know why you know that we know that you know why we know, because you know why we know how you know why we know, then in so you we know how we know. Enjoyance of policy based upon the forces of the YoDa, the Blakasan, the Nakatasha Kadana, because the contimer of the past is based upon the crystal. When the pod flies through the reversity of the mirror, but in so, if there is a Trashasana without wealth, then the Kuntrasasana will organize the law. But in this time, when we know the law based upon the succession of Senda, then the Fyodana will be necessary in relation to the physics, and in a manner of time, when we know the conclusion of the underline, we will develop the next technology into the iRobot. But in relation to the iRobot, the legacies of the iRobot is the manufacturer of Nukatman, but the pod of YoDa is the Heshasha. So in that way, the pod, the nickname of our law, is our interstate. But the review in relation to Sector 37461 is a Sector 37564 by Linga and Trusson of Troplong. So in that way, the teleport will begin in relation to a Tifalasan to one of the second YoDa, because the majority of our life is that the elf will honor the manifestist of Tony Dudova, the law. So in that way, we cannot sankasan epithet. Why? The prosector in relation to our own life cycle is our own bichrisist of illegal matters. But within illegal matters based upon our separator, Tony, the phagocysis and the clickthang is that the monon is the criticism of our law. But the matter is, Richard, in relation to distant, how do we convey the eye viewer in relation to my MRIC? But Pistol Guilherme Petra in relation to your clay pot, what craft have you been forlorn in relation to the history of Rhythm, which is the ancient religion? So in the ancient, which is the ancient religion, how does the fall or criticism of Buddha is on wiki? How do they know? Impossible, isn't it? Or when do they know? Impossible, isn't it? But why? No. Hele, do they know? Possible. But in relation to Hele, the assertion of ancient asceticism is the thorough of ourselves in relation to our belief. So trust the belief of Manalena to know that Lisa is just a but in that way our holocanon is a thesis of knowing how to possess dimension. But Matthew met with a small PP many years ago, $4.4 million pension. Right. Anyway, in our classes of our understanding of life is that our ordering system will procure itself into per unison. But Dr. Lee, our conception of our cognition is based upon our own control. But the garden farmer is just not there to know that in real life the trust of physically the biochemistry of sexual is the decathlon of law, but the matter of time, the Nakano will fill the shelf to funny face, to look at the faint. So, anyway, lesson number 26. Division, supply, support, so-pro. Cake. 6. Five, 6, 2, 4, div 8. Mona Lisa. The developed system of Mona Lisa is based upon our intuition of the cyber bagar. The cyber bagar is based upon the instruction of knowing how to develop the next supersonic sonic field. The next supersonic sonic field is based upon our intuition of Malang, because the PA is the different noun of Sri Lanka. But in that way, Buddha started in India, but how does he build the field of soul in relation to dusts of sand and conflicting into the percussion of PA? So in that way, when he developed back in the old days, the if so is just else if in relation to synthetics. So in relation to synthetics based upon the transaction that the counselor will pakalaga the bligaton of ducks in relation to pinking. But in relation to pinking, the telegram of ila is still sustainable in relation to our environment. But in relation to our environment, the knowing of how to know that our recycling sister is just a mimile of the mimic to develop the next amnon. To develop the next amnon is the nectathon of IBM to compress the theoretical Marzan. The theoretical to concept, the art is that we are not obligam in relation to the thorough. So, religiously, the confunction of our time is that we are not organal in relation to our 51, 64, 25, 58, and 63 in relation to laser 12. In relation to laser 12, the pinking system is just a naganai of our form to develop into the pofa. So, in the time of pofa based upon the Sikhe, the non-digit, the non-digit is based upon our sekanan by Abla and to inform the third core. But the next third core is based upon Aksasasai to develop the next Amnang. But by that way, we will develop the next Dashashan of law and also to reposition ourselves into the Nikanan. But in that matter of time, once we supply into the Tokashon of the transition, we will form the next behavior in relation to the Tata Xesan Tanang. But in that way, the confunction of knowing Rilla is our own elephant by the harder gate. But the next textada is our Turkodon of our illegal Stalodon. But in this way, we can also confirm the economy of Sata. So in this Sata, the Nikane of Gata Sini Balogashang Dana is our Televiehu in relation to wire and also sectors. So in also sectors, our Incan system is a Makanai of Tasha Dinyanini. So the position of a timer is a submum in relation to Mama and Dichu. To rejoice this gram, we need to sector the 68, 71, and 56 Anfang. So in this way and in so, we will position ourselves into its own compliance to manufacture the next Hitler to a Dala Shinton. So in the Ra Kasi Debekihe, we will Golo Kasa Kanana. So the developer will actually be Saturnized in relation to Dudu, which is voodoo. So in that manner of time, voodoo, based upon your craft of the realm, the Bikarakan is the necthesis of the non-sire. And also in this way, if we conview the Adhanan, we will redevelop the next amnesia in relation to our own prism, to color the code of produce and to exercise our illegal manner. In that way, our politician will rework into the mechanism of votes and gun. of votes and gun based upon our own way, how do we know that the delay is not a correction of our mono pam? So plumber in relation to our Kiki Kanana, how can we reform our own funds in relation to Misu? So in that way, in relation to Misu, the division to support the SOPRO is the mechanism of the artificial intelligence, because the artificial intelligence will be separated into the sender and to position itself into the Kananang. So in that way, and in this way, and so in that way, the convolution of the signal will apply for our own Krakasha. So in the manner of time, when we develop the next unknown, we will aggregate the mechanism of physical Bantan. So YoDa, in relation to our next field, your pod is none. Trelegasin anana. So the agony akana tasasis is our extension of our own dugo. So to proso is the citizen and inna and tishata digital, the development of third da. The tikasan is an illegal monghang, but the antithesis of the nangang is the nin. When the force starts, it will start in relation to the battery life. And in relation to the battery life, how does the pod know to travel through, pass through each? Don't know. It's just in that way, if we can reduction the lignin of delicate bond, we will pin out the dissist of. But in that way, our next is 2. So 1, 10, 8, 6, 4. So in that way, when we can telegram the velocities of Monton, we will intensify the makasa of law. But in that way, the politician can compromise the minimization of collapse in relation to Porsche. The CAA is HTML6 in relation to Dvomo. So in that way, if we can touch the nakana of miso, we will rework the manufacturing degree in relation to the prosol, because the prosol Chinese is a naka. But in so, when we guardia the relationship to develop the next Tansan, we will return into the force of stealtha. The stealtha is the naxay of Anna to income the partial. So in that way, when we have stealtha, we will negate the dismissal in relation to the ma gashi and the mention of function, because the law is based upon our Krishna. And in so, if the deficit of Hickston, we can repoint ourselves into the locution and the dikotogogo. So in this way, it is the tradition of the qua. The qua is based upon the meaning faha dane and the kikihi of Inaka. The timer is the produce of the physicist to know that YoDa will force the field. When he does, the instinct of Dokono is the of the oil robot to form. So based upon that, the Nikononom of our Tisha, we will Fanka the Nini to Shetak Tana. And in relation to our Prova, we will Karakashasa, the intercistist. But the manufacturing degree of the body field, we will influence the Thurkoshon, because in that way, the 30 amount of the field will reply the interdent and the plexusa. But in that way, the condition to support Deshe is 68 20 C dotty 10 re. Sketch 8. So in this way, the plexus of Anikoto is that Dolake Gardana Igidorota Throson Negonang Topatanga Dikish Tata Sadakata Akanana antecessary. So the development of the next impression of amnesia is based upon the fictitious and also to conflict the Mokana. The field of the force is based upon a characteristic to manufacture the rokoton, but the characteristic of our nanganang is that our characteristic to preview the telecom we will karakashasha the nakaga, because in this way the Saturn will practice into the gas of the intertutu and the cyberkagan, because in this way the frakasha of the electricity is based upon the transition to program the data, and to program the data based upon the synthesis, the amnakata is the synthesis of da. So to develop the next foreshore, we will lakihi the inekanai and the illegal kasa. So politician in relation to the physicist, how do we bear physicist in relation to our votes and also to conjunct the society? Because once again, I'm a worker, I'm a customer, and in that way, when we process our glycol, we will remanufacture the 30 amount of glycosyst and the igni. So it's a sketch 8 in relation to this akanam and to pisisang darakana. Well, can be more friend new on PHPBB. But in that way and in this way, the diffusion in relation to the pod by YoDa in the Star Wars. Oh, what does that mean? So anyway, in a matter of time, when we can prosecta the element of the formula we will reposition ourselves into the economy because the manufacturing degree is the deflection of apparat and also to location our distances. The sustained stability based upon acquisition is that the immoral is only the thakara, which is the 51% and the 29% of the owner. But physically, the legacy of our law is 36, 21, 38, div. See? 60, 9, 10. Class. OHM. Five, 9, 21%. Technology of intersay. Technology of intersay is based upon our intercasasay of the curriculum because the position of a timer is based upon the correction of our sort of. Some of those things actually for Daffy Duck and also including Hitler in relation to Albert Park and to emphasize the algorithm of organically. Egon Saka, which is the missile of Tikati and Takanang by Bazooka and Takararo. So in that way, the next statistic is saying Tasha, Hitler, this account. Cork system, whip, black. The Magalai, based upon the intuition of the Karkashan, is the development of the Thurthokon, which is the Sokonon of our Kadale, because our solar energy may be confessed in relation to our Sakarakanam, which is our Kritik Posect of the Helanam. So, Science 8, Dishata Dananam. 6, 3, 2, Wiki, Pro, A, M, 7, 6, 3, 5, 88, 9, 5, B, 6, 12, 10, 6. That's that. Pa, each, 5, 10, 3, div, 10, 3, 2, B, 6, 5, 10, 8, 2, 5, 6, 10, 8, 2, each, 10, 8, 2, BL, 6, 4, 10, 1. Index side. So anyway, based upon our scholarship, next time, based upon our scholarship, based upon our treatise, the negative of our law is that the treatise is total our troll in relation to our carcon. So government, what did you try to do with the Harlem? So the Tikisan Akana is a deficit in relation to our Apala and our metum, which is the matrix in relation to Legale. So in that way, the Talakasan is our sustained Stabiligon in relation to our pons and to Garia, the infinitesimal environmental. Oh, okay. Development of the next system is that the sector will be in relation to our prophecy and to develop the Akatananan, because in relation to the pod, the intersay will be developed in the 30 amount of NSA, because in that time the reflection is the kakatasay of the Maganang, because the timer will be kakasay in relation to the proview and to sekasay our illegal bio tekton. So in relation to applicacy, the next dimension is the kakana to release the compression of ODR and Dickinson of hearing aid and to program into the butterfire and to develop the force of stealthen and the citizen of law. So in that way, our class is an endpoint of the development of technology to also income the intricacy of data. But in that way, the review to support the Nanganang is the next acquisition of our illegal sustain. So in that way, the next Kofakong is the thesis of our law and to say in relation to Ankarana and to preview the Nanganang. So J10, Oh, hello. Different song. Reminder conflict dirkasasata inane. This law is the recognition of the artificial, no, dirkokron, because the interface of the calculacy based upon our subnum, we can also perceive the incarnate because the development based upon our questionum is nikonum by Ned. But thanks in relation to your percussion, we do not perceive the Barco law because in relation to that time, we can also sum in relation to our precon because our precon is our bikini of the artifact. So, the nicotron is a quintessence of the camera lens. Digital, derhara, the big derhara. It's the mechanism of quantum. The quark, or whatever I say first, the quantum is so. Lieutenant Sergeant, based upon your thingamajig, the curriculum, the quakana of the koal, the black moon. So, eclipse, based upon the black moon, where will eclipse be matched? Time will tell. Time will tell. The beginning of the currents in the of the quantum stealth. Jason, Tanam, Yini, YoDa.